Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. Military revenge story. My first post, please be nice. This was back in 2013 when I was based in Holland, British Marine for context. I had been married to my wife for a little over 18 months when I deployed to Afghanistan. My wife had a job in the British delegation on base and got to know pretty much every Brit and their husband/wife. One day we were directly targeted by a vehicle-borne aid. Now, whilst it wasn't uncommon for there to be a threat to coalition forces in general, being directly targeted felt more personal for obvious reasons. That was also the day I found out about an RAF guy back in Holland had tried it on with my wife. I found him on Facebook and, still feeling rather raw about Terry trying to blow me up, messaged him words to the effect of, "If you go near Mrs. von_Scranhammer again I will put glass in your throat the next time I'll see you." The next day one of my bosses, who was also RAF, messaged me on Facebook to say that this guy has been over to his office and basically tattled on me. He gave me a friendly warning/heads up that this guy could have gone to the MPs and reported me. I have no idea what would have happened, but Elle acknowledged the warning and said it won't happen again. My boss had my back and actually told him to wind his neck. Fast forward to when Elle got back from Afghan. A few days had passed and Elle was starting to settle into a normal life again. My wife brought it up, after explaining she didn't mention it at the time due to my reaction the first time, that an army sergeant major had tried to message her via Facebook. He told her she was beautiful and wanted her number. She promptly blocked him. I was pissed off to say the least, but I understand why she kept it until Elle was back on home soil. The next day Elle went into our department and spoke to my other boss, an army captain. I told him what had happened and he said, "Leave it with me." He basically had a chat with him and nothing came of it. I felt deflated and even more pissed off. That was until our senior military officer came into our department. He welcomed me back and asked how my tour was. Still pissed off, Elle said, "It was good, sir. With the exception of Sergeant Major douchebag trying to get round my wife." He was, understandably, a little taken aback. About an hour or so later he emailed me saying that he feels the need to do something official about this. Something I had forgotten was that the colonel and sergeant major belong to the same regiment, so having one of his own behave like this had clearly gripped him. I told him the full story and provided screenshots of what Sergeant Major douchebag had said to Mrs. von_Scranhammer. For this to go official my wife had to provide a statement. Unfortunately, Mrs. von_Scranhammer is very non-confrontational and said she didn't want this to continue. I respected her wishes, of not wanting to provide a statement, but hatched a plan that would be 3 years in the making. The timing is important. I emailed the colonel and said that Mrs. von_Scranhammer has declined. However, I felt the need for some formal recognition, so Elle asked that Sergeant Major douchebag write a letter of apology, addressed to both my wife and Elle, which is to be signed and dated. This was granted and I received said letter 2 days later. It said, "Lance Corporal and Mrs. von_Scranhammer. I am writing this letter to you both to apologize for the torment and anxiety that you both must have felt from the messages that you received from my Facebook account. To Mrs. von_Scranhammer. Nobody should ever be in a situation where they worry about going to work because of who may come through the door, especially so, when they have the added stress of a partner being operationally deployed at the time. The anguish that you must have felt at this time is immeasurable, and for this, I apologize. To Lance Corporal von_Scranhammer. Being operationally deployed is stressful enough without the added stress and worry about family back home. Support from home and loved ones is what carries many people through tough times whilst on tour. For any undue angst caused, I apologize. I regret any hurt and anguish caused by this issue and apologize, wholeheartedly and unreservedly to you both. Signed. Sergeant Major douchebag, position held. I now waited. I saw the rest of my time in Holland, moved back to the UK to my new base and waited some more. Almost 3 years after I received the apology letter, I looked up Sergeant Major Douchebag's wife on Facebook. I had known the whole time we were out there that he was married, his wife lived back in the UK, and he has routinely tried to cheat on her. I sent her the same screenshot which I had sent to the Colonel. I also, before leaving Holland, printed off the emails between the Colonel and myself where I requested the apology letter. I blanked out the Colonel's details, and sent the pictures of that. And then, lastly, I sent a picture of the apology letter, signed and dated by her husband admitting what he had done. One cell saw she had read it, blocked her, blocked Sergeant Major Douchebag and all his friends who had also been out in Holland at the same time. Why 3 years? I remember him saying, before he turned into a douchebag and tried it on with my wife, that he only had 3 years left to serve. If my timing was correct, he was months away for completing his 22 years and receiving a very nice pension. If his wife decided to go ahead with divorce, she would take half of said pension, which would essentially duck him over for the rest of his life. Oh man, if only you unblocked her now so we could find out what happened. But I guess that would be selfish of us. Good story anyway. Well done, and I like the way you write. If it is like the US, divorces are public record so OP could check to see the outcome. They are not in the UK. Yes, they are. They're not publicly indexed and you need to know where it took place and the case number and then pay in order to find out any information, which practically makes it very difficult. They can also be sealed. That's not the same as for births, deaths and marriages, which are very easy to look up because the index is public. Oh, I apologize, I thought you were saying OP was not in the UK. Bloody hell, mate. I'm not sure if I should be terrified, impressed or both. This is the military. The ability to say yasa without letting the tone of you mother ducker through is an essential trait. That's a quote from my former military cousins, both of whom have left to start families. Flip side, from an officer's perspective, if you take care of your enlisted, they take care of you. The only problems I ever had in my service with enlisted were when one of my sailors made human duck-ups and I had to do my best to mitigate. Had a sailor with insomnia fall asleep while driving and hit another vehicle. He had let his insurance lapse, 19-year-old kid. I called his bank and they agreed to not notice that his truck was totaled as long as he kept making payments on the loan. We helped him work out an agreement with the other guy's insurance company, and I went into court with him and asked the judge to give him a civil reckless driving charge instead of a criminal reckless driving charge. Same effects, but since it wasn't criminal he could stay in uniform. He probably spent 2 years digging himself out of that hole, but he paid everything off and got his life back in order, and I was and damn proud of him for it. Military or not, we need more people like you. Please continue to be you and teach others to do so by example. While I am proud of the kid for getting his shit together, if his insomnia was bad enough to be effectively causing narcoleptic-like episodes while driving, he needed medical treatment more than anything. Did he get the treatment he needed for his sleeping disorder? You sound like an awesome person. Must be awfully nice having a job where judges will keep you from having a criminal record when you do something that could have gotten somebody killed. As they say so often in r/military stories, there are officers and there are leaders. You, sir, are a leader. Thanks for helping that kid out. Revenge is a dish best served cold. I admire your patience. I still have the apology letter and emails from the Colonel, hence why I was able to quote the letter verbatim. When I moved back to the UK, I actually framed the letter and put it in my man cave as a reminder that I wasn't yet done. Nice work. Question: is adultery illegal in the British military like it is in the US military? If it is within the ranks of a Sergeant Major Douchebag trying to get in my wife's pants, yes, formal discipline can be issued, which is why I think he agreed to the letter of apology. He knew what could have happened. If it's a married soldier/sailor/airman/marine cheating on their civilian wife with another civilian, nobody cares. There's actually a story in our newspapers back in July about the former Army Sergeant Major and mental health champion who was being investigated over claims of an affair with a junior soldier's wife. What makes the story worse, if true, is that 1, the junior soldier has been to request help about his own mental health, and 2, the Sergeant Major was also married with 2 children. Makes sense. That's actually awful. I hope that soldier gets the help he deserves. Hopefully it's not like over here where getting help with mental health issues can be an absolute career killer. I can't tell you how many service people I know that go for marriage counseling, which is in reality just their spouse helping them cover getting the attention they need so it doesn't have to be reported up the chain. Edit, phrasing. I was going to say, Smudge's letter is bar none the most eloquent apology I've ever heard or read. I thought it was maybe a British versus American thing, but knowing there was a potential court-martial if he didn't nail the apology also makes sense. Who the duck is Terry? Terry is what we would call the Taliban Terry Taliban. I thought it was like a British idiom for terrorist like telly or footy. I say chaps, we do not negotiate with Terrys. Oh, I was so confused. Reading back it's obvious from context, but it being a person's name just threw me. It's a common way to be racist to say they wear towels on their heads. Terry equals terry towels. It's got absolutely nothing to do with being racist. Even less to do with Afghans wearing towels on their heads, given that most Afghans could barely afford most luxuries, never mind the ability to travel and take part in the pilgrimage. If your wife went ahead with the formal complaint, wouldn't that result in a court-martial? I know the military has some severe penalties for infidelity, especially since it was one member going after another member's spouse. I don't know if it would go that far if she did give the statement. I mean it could, but it depends on who is giving the punishment as to what they can award. I'm a little confused. Why did the timing matter? If she divorced him before his pension kicked in, would she just get half of their current assets? Whereas if they divorced after he was living off his pension, she would be entitled to half. I'm sorry if I'm being obtuse, I just don't quite understand. So in the UK, if you divorce someone in the forces, and you are entitled to half of their pension, it's only for the amount of time that you have been married. By waiting 3 years it made her entitled to more, if she did choose to divorce him, that is. Also, as I said, he would be in his last few months of service, on cloud 9 that he'll have a nice fat, non-contributory, pension coming, and I wanted to ruin this feeling. Thank you for taking the time to explain this to me. This is a great story, by the way. Smile. Not pro. Juvenile. Guy flirted with your wife. Welcome to adulthood. Trust her and move on. This is not, guy flirted with your wife material. This is, guy tried to bang your wife knowing you were downrange in Afghanistan and gave zero ducks about it because he thought he would get away with it material. AKA wrong material. He told her she was beautiful and wanted her number. That's all the detail you provide. Sounds like flirting to me. I hope the military helped you sort out your anger management issues. I'm secure in the fact that I trust my wife not to cheat. He didn't just say she was attractive, but I won't go into the nitty-gritty details of what else he said. What I'm not trusting of is someone who is a position of rank trying to get in my wife's pants and then making her anxious every time he walks into her place of work, thinking full well that she either won't tell me or I won't do anything about it and he can get away with it. Someone who waited until Elle was in a war zone to make a move on a woman he knew was married. Does that adequately answer your condescending comment? Edit spelling. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night. Wherever you are.